So I'm delighted. We have a few people today that have come from Galp, which is incredibly great. They're going to be presenting a fantastic AI presentation called Trust by Design, Deploying Responsible AI in Upstream Audit Use Case. And it's the wonderful Sophia Silvestre, AI Delivery Manager for Galp, and Edgar Letau, hopefully I pronounced it right, Director for Upstream and Digital Innovation Center for Galp as well. So a big round of applause, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure for us to be here and to have this opportunity to share our topic with you. My name is Edgar Diogo. I'm an internal audit manager at Galp Energia, and I'm today responsible for the upstream business, energy trading, and also enterprise business to business. In fact, most of part of my time today is dedicated to upstream business because in the company we're performing a lot of joint operations audit. So I'm joined today by Sophia. I believe that most part of you already have the opportunity to meet her this morning, but anyway, do you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sophia Silvestre, and I work as an AI delivery manager at Galp.
As you can see from the title of our presentation, we believe that trust is a core value of our industry. So please let me start with a simple question. How do we build trust with our partners when we invest millions or billions of dollars in upstream assets and we don't have direct control? So we do not run the asset, we do not have direct access to the information. I think there are many answers for this question, but today we'd like to share with you how audits are helping us to responding this question and how responsible AI is helping audit to transform their process. But before we move forward, and mostly for those who may be not so familiar with Galp, Galp is an integrated energy company that operates across oil and gas business. So we are present in upstream, midstream, and downstream. But I don't want to talk about the activities of the company. What I really want to highlight today is this picture, because it takes us back to the very early days of the company when we start to illuminating the city of Lisbon with the very first gas-powered lamps. So we believe that as we innovated back in the past, we should embrace artificial intelligence to keep innovating in present and also to create the roots for the future. I believe that you may be wondering, why invest time, money, resources in audits when we are part of this sector that, as you can see in this conference, is full of opportunities to develop AI solutions that will have a direct impact in the business and direct in the operations. For us, the answer is very simple. We are doing this, but in Galp, we hold several stakes in upstream assets that we don't operate. We are a no-operated partner, so we don't have access to the information. And now we are seeing audit not only as a tool to increase compliance, assess the costs, or also to analyze the funding management, but as a mechanism to build trust between the partners. So I think this should be our ultimate goal. But to do this, we should have the right capabilities in place. And in fact, we didn't have it. So we faced several challenges during our audit process that we are not capable to overcome. So we need to take a step back, engage with our delivery IT team that is managed by Sophia, and analyze step by step what we should do and how could we have an opportunity to leverage a digital tool, artificial intelligence. So how could we overcome our challenge to, at the end of the process, we can deliver, first of all, assurance and then trust. Just please bear in mind that I'm talking about joint operation audits that are audits over $1 billion, so we receive several information during the audit, okay? I believe that we were very successful in this process. First, we implement some analytical tools that now are enabling us and are helping us in the present to have smart samples. And I like the word smart because it's a really risk-based sample. And second, we automate our audit report. But our main challenge occurred during the fieldwork because, as I said, we are not capable to address all the information that we receive in such a time frame. So to overcome that, we implement Cyclops. And today, Cyclops is our main tool, and it's the main tool that is supporting the audit process. Sophia will explain later the technical details of Cyclops, so now I'll keep it simple. For an audit team, Cyclops is a tool that picks up all the information that we received and automatically capture, organize, and catalog all the data that we need for the audit. So just to give a clear picture, before Cyclops, the auditors need to open the documents one by one. And when I'm talking documents in this kind of audits, I'm talking about daily drilling reports, vessel logs, and all the operational reports that we received that we need to open and extract information to complete an audit. So this really is impossible to do. We cannot assure coverage, and most important is that the team becomes a lot of frustrated because of this. But now with Cyclops, Cyclops is doing this work for us. So finally, the auditors have the opportunity to engage in value-added activities. And as audit manager, I believe this is really important because when we engage in value-added activities, and I think this one of the most benefits that AI brings to our process, we can have much more valuable insights at the end of the process. So we can build trust with the partners with good recommendation, not only one claim, one monetary claim or something. So, and just to sum up this part, and before entering technical details, I would like to say that Cyclops was a really game changer for our process, not only because I believe this is not only a technological shift, this is also a human change because we completely reshape the role of an auditor during the process. So Cyclops not only increase our efficiency and effectiveness during the process, but also, and I think this is very important, reshape the way that we manage resources because we have more time and then we can add much more flexibility, but increase our credibility with the partners. And usually with credibility comes reputation. And reputation is a first step to gain trust, and for an audit team, reputation is obviously a key asset. So to move forward to the technical, to walk you through to the technical perspective, I will hand over to Sophia.
So, to go on a deeper level on the technical perspective around Cyclops, I will focus on the intelligence part of this project and this process, because as you can see, it is a well-established process. So the extraction is where we train our optical character recognition models so we can extract the information that we want from specific documents. As we are mostly based in cloud solutions, mostly in Microsoft Azure, we're taking advantage of a resource called Document Intelligence for that purpose. On the enrichment part is where the heavy lift part happens. It's where we do the post-processing through Python code. And actually, it means that we structure the output in a way that better suits the audit team. We've added an extra layer for validation, where we put the audit team in the loop, and we provide confidence metrics for the extraction, so the audit team can have more confidence on what they are seeing. And we deliver it to the audit team's hands through an XGS web app, and they can extract the value from it for calculations, for document matching, whatever they want. This is our maturity journey, and although we were achieving full coverage with Cyclops OCR solution, and this is actually our solution that you are seeing right now, what happened was that every time we wanted to add a new document in the process, it still took a lot of effort to train a specific OCR model to extract the labels from that specific document. And that's when generative AI comes into action, because we are able, although we have different providers, different document typologies, we are able to extract information through reasoning. But when we stop reading and start reasoning, that's when responsible AI matters the most, right? And so I would like to give some advices from what I've learned from deploying AI, what we've learned from deploying AI, not only Cyclops, but AI in general, more specifically generative AI. So starting with evaluation, you can see here several baseline metrics that are used for retrieval augmented generation, scoring methods that we use to understand if an answer from a large language model is grounded in the context. But how can we evaluate if we don't have a very robust ground truth data set? And I think that most of you must have passed through it because it's very difficult for the business team to provide heterogenic with high variability of data, ground truth data sets. So what I want to highlight is the synthetic data sets. Right now we're generating synthetic data sets from the ground truth that is provided by the business team, so we can evaluate the solution in a better way, in a more robust way. So this means, okay, now we were able to evaluate, we can trust the solution, but is it safe to use it? And we've talked about hallucination today, we've talked about guardrails, and what we are doing regarding to ensure that we have the right answer, the answer that is compliant and is not unethical, is to establish some content that the LLM is allowed and what content is not allowed to provide answers for. And so we are using, and as I told you before, we are mostly based in Azure, we are using a content safety resource to establish that content. Also, in the prompt injection as well, we are providing some ground rules as well for that purpose. One thing is to have the assurance that our solution is providing ethical answers. Another thing is to ensure that our solution is up and running. And so something that we are doing right now is to have always two providers from foundational models. So in production, imagine that the foundational model that we have in production gets deprecated from a day to another, or if it's not running on that moment. This allows us to have a backup plan. On the other hand, it allows us to not rely on a single provider from foundational models in our company. Regarding code accelerators, and we are using code generation, of course, to assist our implementations. Of course, we must use it because it really accelerates our implementation, but we must understand what is behind it, because it generates lines and lines of code, and even for someone that understands that programming language, it is very hard, very complex to understand what is behind it. And so we are providing standards. This means that from project to project, we are creating accelerators, generic functions from those projects, and we give to the code assistant so he can generate, generate based on what was previous compliant in other projects. Also, we have a very well-governed peer review process. We're using GitHub for that purpose, and nothing can go to production without the technical validation of our technical leads. Something interesting that we are doing right now is creating agent personas. You can see here some baseline personas that we use on every solution, and here you have an answer, a finding from the data and ML reviewer that was generated by dummy data for the purpose of this conference. But the interesting thing is that you can add any specialist. For example, for Cyclops, makes totally sense to have an audit specialist reviewing the solution in production every time it runs. And last but not least, and for me the most important part, is to keep humans always on the loop. This means to foster a culture of responsibility in our companies, But actually, artificial intelligence can help with that as well, providing explainability metrics, providing confidence metrics, as I told you before that we are doing in Cyclops. So helping the human to own the solution, but own it with confidence. And just to wrap up, we know that audit already reinforces trust in our operations. And we saw here today that artificial intelligence, it's also reinforcing audit's process responsibly. And this is what we mean with trust by design. Thank you.